Welcome everyone to another up to the time presentation. Today we are going to be looking at 2-point perspective. What is a 2-point perspective? 2-point perspective, lines that converge on two vanishing points. Linear perspective, a technique for representing three-dimensional space on a flat surface. What is a vanishing point? The vanishing point is the point in space where items seem to disappear. So if we focus on the drawing that I have in front of me, I'll take out my annotations now at this stage, choose my white color. Yep, all ready to go. So if we focus on this, these are our vanishing points. So this is the left vanishing point, and here is the right vanishing point. Right? But there are some interesting things on this 2-point perspective that I need to mention. The interesting, important tips, so to speak, that when drawing this perspective that one should know. One of them is, in perspective drawing, receding horizontal lines change angles going back to the vanishing point. So what do I mean by that? Like, this is a receding line here, horizontal line as it's going back to the vanishing point, and that angle as it touches the vanishing point and this horizontal line here is going to be different from this horizontal line and going back to the vanishing point. So that's what this one relates to, right? I hope everyone understood that. Now, the second thing here is in perspective drawing, vertical lines remain the same. So what do I mean by that? These are the vertical lines here, and these remain the same. These don't ever change. They always remain the same. So that relates to this here. And what's the other important thing that we need to know? Well, for this next one, let me clear the screen before I mention that. Okay, let's move now to this particular square that I have here drawn. Or let's call this a cube. Now this is drawn directly above the horizontal line. This is the horizontal line here. So let's call that H. That's our horizontal line. This one is drawn above. So what do we notice when a shape is drawn above the horizontal line? We see three sides to the shape. So we see this side here, which is the left side. We see the right side. And we see the underside of the shape, right? That only occurs when a shape is drawn above the horizontal line. Now, let's look at a shape that's drawn below the horizontal line, and let's see, what do we see? We see the top now. Yeah. We see one side, we see another side, and we see the top. So we see three sides. All right. Now, let's look at a shape that is drawn on the horizontal line. And let's observe, what do we see? We only see two views. We see one side here, and we see a second side. So I hope that this helps you all to understand 2-point perspective a little better. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to just use this opportunity, seeing that the grid is all set up, to create an actual square in here, a three-dimensional square. Just drawing, and I take off my ortho, and I'm going to place my point here. Yep. Then go back to this vanishing point. And what I'm going to do is just project this downward, right? So 10, go back to that vanishing point, and send that back to that vanishing point. So how much I want? I want my distance along here, about 24. Yeah, that seems good. Pull down, and I pull this back to that vanishing point. track on this line here. I want a distance at about 16. I always pull down. Remember, those vertical lines always remain vertical. They do not change. And I track that back to that vanishing point. And I just trim here. And here is my three-dimensional cube. And again, this is drawn in the lower, this is drawn below the horizon line. So that means that I would see my top view, which is my plan, my front elevation, and then my side elevation. So I will see three views. Okay. So I think that gives us a good understanding of how to draw a two-point perspective using the right-hand vanishing point and the left-hand vanishing point. Now, let us go a step further. Let us look at creating a circle in two-point perspective. Yeah. So let's come over here to this side of the drawing. We want to focus on this right now. And let us see how we're going to create this. So I have down here the actual circle, which I've done, which is right here. I'm trying to outline it. I'm doing a horrible job. Anyway, that's the two-point perspective circle, and it's drawn on the left side. I'm going to draw it on the right side here. That's what I'm going to do at the end of this explanation. But let's see how this actually works. So I want a square, because that's where I'm going to be putting my circle in, a square. So after I've created my two-point perspective cube, how do I know that it's actually a cube? Good question. So I know that this distance, which is 31.05, is this distance here. Right? That is that distance. And then to get the actual horizontal distance, the distance that is going back to either the left or the right vanishing point, what I did is I created a circle here at this point, and the circle is going to pass this point, and it's also going to pass through that point there. And once it meets at this point, that's how I know that this thing, these two are the same distance, right? So it was easier then for me then to come down on my vertical line, because you know that all vertical lines are vertical, nothing changes there. And then I'm going to connect this. Just an easy connection there, right? So that's the first thing. I've gotten my boundaries that I'm going to be working in between. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create an X, right? So I'm creating an diagonal, I'm dividing into 4 diagonal pieces first. That's the correct term, which is piece 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Divided into 4 diagonal pieces. And then after that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide the square vertically and horizontally. So divide it like that, and divide it like that, right? That's the next step. Then after doing that, what we do is we create a diamond at the compass point. So if this were the compass point north, and this were south, and this one were west, and this were east, all right? What we are going to do is then we create a diamond going from north to east to south, and then to west, and then back to north, all right? That's the next stage. And then after we've done that, we need to locate the midpoints between here and here, which is right here. That's the midpoint. And we do that on all the diagonals. So we locate these midpoints. So once we have done that now, we move on to the final step. Whereas we use the 4 compass points and the midpoints that we just actually created on the diagonals. So let me highlight the compass points. So I'm starting with, this is west, this is north, this is east, this is south. Now I'm going to highlight the midpoints on these diagonals here. That's the midpoint, that's the midpoint, that's the midpoint, and that's the midpoint. Now once I've done that, I'm going to use the command SPL, and I'm going to draw my curved line to form a 2-point perspective circle. All right. So those are the instructions there. Those are the construction steps which I've gone through. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my circle. I'm going to draw it right here. All right. So let's see how this works out now. So go back into this drawing mode. I'm going to move this. Actually, I'm going to put this into, so that's my vertical line, which divides the left and the right. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is get into my construction, and then I'm going to divide this diagonally. That's the first thing. Then once I've done that, I'm going to now divide this. I can put back on my ortho. Things come down here because I don't need down there. Now I'm going to find the midpoint here. And from the midpoint to midpoint. All right, now I'm going to create my diamond. Okay, now I've created my diamond. I'm going to zoom in a bit. You can see these things closer. So I'm going to clear the screen. All right. Now I'm close to the action. Put a point. Point there, north, west, south, east. Now I need to find a midpoint here on this one. So I'm going to trim it here and trim it there. Also trim this and trim it. Now I'm going to place a point. PO to bring the point there, make point, good. Now lastly, SPL, line, and then I create the margin. So I'm going to start here at the furthest point. Right, that's it. It's in. I'm now going to max drop it so we can see it. I'll shut that one over there too. And that's our 3D, sorry, that's our 2-point perspective circle on the right hand side. So I have a camera drawing that I've done. And I actually got this drawing from the internet. Here is what was given, what I found. And this is all in isometric perspective. Sorry, isometric drawing. This is an isometric drawing here. And what I had to do firstly was to transform this from isometric to orthographic projection. So from isometric projection to orthographic projection. Then I'm now going to move from orthographic projection to 2-point perspective. So I have the drawing already here set up, waiting to go, just waiting to start. But before I do that, I need to show you all how to set up a drawing first before we do anything. So that's the next stage that we are going to go on to in this demonstration. Let me just clear. We have done part 1, which is this, and we move on to part 2. All right. So this is what it says over here. Let me have a look at what it says over here. It says step 1, create a 30-degree line from the SP and extend it to the picture plane, right side. Okay. So this is the stationary point here that we're talking about, the SP, stationary point, and we're projecting a 30-degree line all the way up to the picture plane. So we need to set up a picture plane line, and we need to find to set up a stationary line, right? So let's come down here, and we're going to set up a horizontal line. It could be a random distance, it doesn't matter, right? And what we're going to do, we're going to then divide that, and I just divided. It's not even in the middle, but I just divided it. It's very random. And on this, I'm going to place a point, and that's going to be my, let me turn on my point style. Okay. Oh, there, that's too big. Okay, that's my SP. And this here is my picture plane. I'm just going to grab the text right here, picture plane. Let me just place it there, right? And this is my SP line down here. Now, what I'm going to do, like they say, picture 30 degrees from here up to your picture plane. That's the first thing they ask us to do. All right. By the way, the SP line is also your vertical line, right? This is your vertical line. And your picture plane is your horizontal line. So I'm going to picture 30 degrees from your SP line all the way to your picture plane. How am I going to do that? Push this in any direction, but I know the 30 degree. Okay, let's do it the old way. So let's go tab, let's go 30 degree. Right, so 30 degree goes on the right hand side, but I want it on the left hand side. Easy fix. Grab the line and MI to mirror, and I just mirror this directly over to the opposite side, and then you raise the source. Yes, that's what I want. Extend this line, or fill up the line, and fill up, which is also another form of extension. So I get the line all the way to my picture plane. Now that is 30 degrees, but I'm going to record that that's 30 degrees. So I'm going to go angular and place an angular notation there. That's 30 degrees. Extend this line here. And then what am I going to do on the opposite side? Now I'm going to do the same thing, but at 60 degrees, right? Let's go now, tab, change the angle, 60 degrees, extend that, and that goes up to the picture plane. Now, after I get it to the picture plane, I now need to create something called my horizontal line that you can see here. This is my horizontal line, and my horizontal line is a distance of 20 mil down from my picture plane. So I'm going to offset this, or offset 20 mil down. That's 20 mil down, and that's my horizontal line. What happens at the horizontal line? The point where the 30 degree intersects with the picture plane, we create a line and bring it down to create a perpendicular at the horizontal line. Now this becomes our left vanishing point. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to edit that, right? And now this is my left vanishing point. Left vanishing point. And from here, I'm going to create a line going, I need a line going to my vertical point. My point, where is my base? Where everything would be, where I would call my first point, where the X, the Y, and the Z axis collide. All right. Okay. So what I'm going to do now, from my SP, which is my stationary point, I'm going to offset 20 up. And this now is my base corner, right? This is my base corner. So I'm going to call that my base corner. Now, for my base corner, I'm going to use a different construction. I'm going to use the hatch, a gray construction. I'm going to connect over to my left vanishing point. And then I'm going to do the same thing when I have established my right vanishing point. How do I do that? I come down from the picture plane on the right hand side, forming a perpendicular down 20 mil, because this is where my horizontal line is, and this becomes my right vanishing point, right? That point there, so you can put a point there, and you connect that line to your base corner. Right. So now once you have done that, you are actually ready to start. That's your horizontal line. I've just labeled everything. Now what I'm going to do, like what I did before, I'm going to come here and place the angle on the right hand side. So the angle on the right hand side is 60. And the angle on the left hand side is 30. So we have established everything. Everything is all set up. Now, what's the next stage? What's the next step? The next step is to insert the drawing. So we need two views to create this 2-point perspective. We need the front view, or your front elevation, and we need the plan. But you recognize that the plan is rotated. So what's the degrees? How many degrees did I rotate this plan? I rotated this plan 30 degrees. Let me just place that in here. So you can see 30 degrees. I rotated the plan. So this was the original isometric. I drew the isometric. I also drew the orthographic. And then now I took the plan, the orthographic plan and the orthographic front elevation, and I inserted them here, and I rotated the plan 30 degrees. All right. So now that I've explained how to set this up, now I need to start. So I rotated the plan 30 degrees, and something that you need to know, the lowest point, which is point A here, I've actually snapped here to my picture plane. That is it. So this is my lowest point. Point A touches my picture plane. All right. However, my front elevation touches this line here, which we call the VP, which is called my base corner. So I will call it my base corner. So that's what I refer to it as in the below drawing. That's my base corner. All right. Now, what lines I don't need? I don't need this gray line anymore, because I've already established my left vanishing point and my right vanishing point. So I don't need the line that goes from the stationary point up to the picture plane. So I can remove that. And let's start. I'm going to be using my construction line to draw this. So the first thing I need to do is I need to firstly draw lines from these points here, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, all the way from each point down to the stationary point. That's the first thing. But I'm not going to do all at the same time. I'm just going to start off with, let's go C. Let's start with C. I'm going to bring C down to the stationary point, and then I am going to use the interaction where C as a diagonal line interacts the picture plane, right? And at that point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to push a connecting line here, and I'm going to send it down to my baseline, and it must be a perpendicular. If it's not perpendicular, I don't want it. It creates a perpendicular here, and I connect that. Now this is my first point on my base right here. So that's where that is going to be. That's I can put a point there. So that is my C. All right. So that will be C at the base. So C is going to have 2 points. It's going to be C1 and then there's going to be C2. Actually, all these points here listed are going to have their secondary positions. So these are the primary, which are at the bottom, and then the secondary are going to be at the top. Except the B, the A, the H, and the G. So, because these are all the ones dealing with the circle. All right. But the C, the D, the E, and the F, those are going to have secondary points. So now let's call this, we can call this here C1. For some purposes, let's C1. Don't forget to save this as you're all working. We wouldn't want anything to happen. Save your progress. That's C1. Now let's go looking for D. So again, we pull a line from D all the way to the stationary point, and where it interacts here at the picture plane, we pull down the line so it touches there. All right, cool. Now, what's the next thing? I'm going to trim this. Trim, trim. Why am I trimming this? Because we don't need these lines anymore. Once it touches the picture plane, we have the correct connection from the standing point, the stationary point, to your corresponding letter. We can trim it so that we don't have any excess lines confusing in drawing. We'll just create a perpendicular down here, and that's the line that we'll be sending down to create the 2-point perspective. All right. Okay. So this is D. So this is D somewhere down here. Yeah. Somewhere down here, we're going to find D. But before we do that, let's carry C over. C over. That's also. Let's see when it goes over. All right. Let's put in point D. That's D1. So D1 over to the left vanishing point. And no, what we want? No, we want the height. So what we're going to do, this is the height here, right, of the camera. So it's all set up on this height here. I'm just going to move it. You can put this anywhere. Doesn't really matter. So you can even put it right here, right? Just to draw it closer to the action. This height here, this corner is what I need. Yeah, this corner right here. So I'm going to put a line from here over to this center line, which is my red line here. I'm going to trim it. And then what happens here now? Make a connection from here all the way to my right hand vanishing point. And then this automatically gives me where my C1 is. Sorry, my C2. My C2 is right here. And my D2 is there respectively. So we can pull this up here, and then this is my C2. And this is my D2. So I've identified where C1, C2, D2, and D1 are. Now, let me identify where my F is. So again, pull a line from F all the way down to my stationary point, trim it at this point here, right, pull a line from here downward. Alright, so I can find where my F is. So now where my F is, if you follow on this line, F would have to be right here. So this is the C line. So C going to F will be right here. Let's put a point. And again, this would be my F1. That's F1. So again, we're going to pull a line from C2 all the way to the left vanishing point, and that will tell us where my F2 is, right? And that reveals F2. So I'm just going to copy this point here, call that F2. All right, great. And because I know where everything is, I should know where E is. If I pull a point from D, well, I'm just going to drop the point E. Make sure just to do it this way. So I can either do it like this, that I'm doing now, pulling a line from here down, making sure you see my perpendicular indicator, and I know that my pull this line across to here. I'm ready to interact right here. This is my point. Now what point is that? That is E2, because we're not going to see E1. So that is E2. So now I think I have a shape. I have my rectangle. My three-dimensional rectangle form. So you can pull this all the way back. Yes. We can also do that. But we're not going to see this E1. So I don't want to waste that much. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to outline my shape. I always find it easier to start out with a shape, a general shape, so that you know where the boundaries are. And you know where to work within, the space to work within. So that's the shape there of the camera, that's the rectangle bit. Now, what's the next step? Should I put in the top pieces, or should I go straight to tackling the circle? I'm going to tackle the circle because I believe that's the part that is going to give, that's going to give everyone all the trouble. So let me get straight to the trouble area, right? Rather than avoid it. Okay. Now, so this circle is here. How are we going to tackle this circle? All right, let me get back onto my construction there. The first thing is I want to draw where the boundaries of the circle are. This one here is the lowest point of the circle. Bring it to my vertical base corner, and then put that back there. Yeah. So that goes back there, and I know I can follow this line all the way back here, and that would eventually tell me where this point B is. Point B or point A? I am going to look to find point B. So bring the line from B all the way down to the stationary point. Right here, trim it, delete it, project the line downward now. That means that B, based on, no, not B. B, actually, this is going to be point B. So let me put B here. It's going to be B. And that's going to be also A. I mean, right here. So when you look at it from the front view, that's going to be A, comma B. And then you look at it, and it's also going to be H, comma G. Let me just copy this over. I hope this makes sense to everyone. H, comma G. Good? No. Yeah. So you know where B is? You know what? I'm going to start using the gray lines to represent the circle. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to be drawing my parts of the circle in my gray construction line, which is my hatch construction line. I'm going to do that because I don't want to confuse anyone. Right? Now, so let us get back to what I'm doing. I'm here at the AB. I'm here at the AB line, and the AB line is also the center line. So I'm just going to follow this and follow this back from here all the way to the vanishing point. I'm going to match up this line as my center line so I can always reference this. Okay, so that means my center appears right here at this spot, going back to this left vanishing point. Okay, so something interesting has happened. I know where my centers are. So I can always orient myself in drawing. So that means I should put this in as my center. So here's the center. Right. That's the center line. So I know that I have my center lines in. Both my horizontal and my vertical center lines are installed. I know where I can find myself anytime I want to find myself on the drawing. Okay. But this line is not my center of the camera. This is just my point where this is the point where the left and the right meet on my 2-point perspective, which is completely different to this line over here, which represents the center of the camera. So I now need to find the center line of the object. So I think I can put this thing in design construction here. I should probably put that in a green and just project it downward. So what that means. Now I'm going to look for the actual true center of the camera. Now how am I going to find out? Easy, which is this line, which is here. All right, so we can find it from here by projecting this line all the way down to my S. Let's trim it here. And then project this line downward. Make sure it says perpendicular at the base. So I can put this line on in as my center line. So this is center line of the camera. But saying I want this to represent the center line of the camera in a true representation, I'm not going to bring this down to the base. I'm going to trim it here because it's in perspective, so it's not going to come down to the base. Right. That's it there. Now, I need to install my circle. So do I know where can I find my point AB in all of this? I should be able to. Know where point B is. I found point B right here, where this interacts right here. That's my point B. So I'm going to place a point there. And call that point B. Point B, yeah. So that means this will have to be point A to right here. Okay. All right, cool. We're getting somewhere. Let's look up on H. Put this down here. Neutral. Trim. Neutral. Put this down. Look for perpendicular. Good. Great. All right. Let me highlight the line that I'm looking for. H. So right over here. Right here. Yeah. And that's my point H. Let me just copy this. What's point H? Point H. It means supposed to be in this hatch there. It's not to confuse myself. Point H, got that in. So I can put in point, no, sorry, that was point G. That's point G. I can look and put in point H as well. Or I can just leave it there for now. No, was that point H? I'm getting confused. That was point H that was this thing. But it was easier, it's easier to find point G. That's point G. That means this here is point H. Right. Yeah. Looking about right. And now I'm going to find the top here, which is this center. Right here. So let's locate where this is. And why is this important? I need to find my 4 points so that I can create my circle. Right? So this thing slides back here. And pick it right here at this point. Just slide it over to that vanishing point. Yes, so I know that that's going to be a point here to start a new circle. Let's call this point K. Go around them. Here, call that K. Let's call K and G. And then here, let's call that V and X. Yeah. K and G limits. So this point here would be J. Yeah, this is point J. Point J. And here. Point J. And at the bottom will be point X. So we just find this point here. Point X. No. So I have everything to draw this isometric circle. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the outline first so that I can see my square that I've created. This is there. there, there. That's the square that I've created. What I'm going to do now, instead of me creating the circle in this confusion, I'm going to copy everything out. Okay? Between vertical lines and then vertically, we can just attach that. Great. I'm going to put this into construction. Now I'm going to create over here. And just get back into the construction there. I'm creating it here. All right. So I'm at the fun stuff now. Okay. So that circle is done. Let me just put that in outline. So how am I going to attach this? I'm going to attach this at the top. Right here, very G. So the next trick now, copying this forward. Go to put this back in. Good. So everything is fitting perfect. Now we'll remove this from B to A. We'll do a little bit of adjustment here. Yep. Or I could have actually created another circle there and then bring them back in. Yeah. Something I could have done. You know what? Let's see how it's worked out that way, rather than trying to win. So now that this is okay. So what am I doing? I'm trying to see where I can locate point K. Right? Hmm. Hmm. Let's try something here. So I think these remaining is block that I'm looking for from here over to the H there. Yes. need to find my UV point. Where X is. To get the outside. Where X is. So, if we can do that, then it should be able to. Okay. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Okay. Oh, let's try this one. So this side. Put on my put on my construction there. Okay, got on my construction there. And let's go. Why does that happen? Because the middle is not the middle of the line. The middle is the middle of the perspective line. So you can't use this midpoint here to find the middle of this perspective square. That's why that happens. Yes, I'm moving quickly because I've done this before. So by now, you students should have gotten the drift as to how this should be installed. Let me put this back into the outline. You might see real maybe I'm going to grab out the corner here. So you can work. Yeah, that looks good. Let me put these screws that were framed into some form of construction there. We'll put them into hatch. That looks good. Put this into hatch. And I think I'm getting somewhere. So I'm going to turn off the construction and have a look at this. Now I'm going to attach the tangent, right? Tangent there. That looks good. Tangent here. Look at this. Good. Clean that up. Well, this, you wouldn't see this, but the lens is blocking up. And I think that's it. Now, this can go into my hatch there. Yeah, you wouldn't see this bit on there, so I'm going to trim. So the camera is in, actually the main shapes, which are the circle and the rectangle. They're in three-dimensional space. Now, what else needs to be placed in here? I need to put in this square, and I need to put in this circle, and I need to put in this bit here. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn back on my construction there. And then I'm going to turn off my patch there. I'm back on my construction. So I think I can find my way around here now. You know, I think that's this construction. And just brought you back there. Right through. Oh no, I need to find, I need to put back on my construction. I'm going to transfer these points here, this line, these lines here, put them into now I'm going to turn off my construction. So, yeah. Now I'm going to use my hatch. Yep. Okay. Cool. Let's see. What am I going to see first? I'm going to see this. So bring down the SD line. Bring it here. I'm going to bring this down. Bring that across. Let's find out. Bring it to here. Bring that back to there. And that's that point there. Right there. And then there's 2 points there. And now find this third point. Bring that down. Bring that down. Open it up. Alright, so now we're going to so now that's the point. Where would that be? What we can do. That is actually supposed to be there. Yeah. And this goes back here now. But you know, and then this will go back here. So and then what I can do is I can outline that and then project this up the distance that I want. Good. And then, oh, the distance already up the distance. I want it. Is it a red space? Ah, how can I tell where this is? How far this needs to go back? Because it seems to be right here at the edge. How can I tell that? This. Alright, I got an idea. We're going to bring out the bill. The phone with this species. So the phone is key. Go down. Confusing. Truth up there, just confusing. Forward. Something was telling me. Oh, okay, good. You're let's see if I can cheat it this way. Okay, so we're going to set this. Hmm. Let's see what this is. Hmm. Was located that. There had to be a lot of cleaning it there. We're back on track. So we start to here. Oh, ooh, strong, 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 after a long struggle. I got that in now. That looks good. Now, put in this next bit here. Now, I'm gonna let y'all figure that out though. Yeah. I think, should I let y'all figure it out or should I put it to you? I'll put it to you. I'll put it to you. Let's go. What's the first thing? What you feel that you do is the thing that you are not aware. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We're down to the SP line. A lot of this is just repetition. Knowing what to do is repeating this. It's very tedious, but once you get it, you understand it. That's all. You forget it. All right, good. So my camera is staying done. Staying done. Actually, my camera is done. I'll leave you all to figure out how to insert that last bit, which is right here. The homework. What am I leaving you to do? I'm leaving you to figure out here how to insert that right here. That's all. And then the camera is done. So if you have reached this far, you need to congratulate yourself. You can concentrate. And if you've reached this far, you can finish it. All right. I am going to take this opportunity now to recap. This was a long session, quite long, quite tiring, but it had to be done, and everyone had to see this. So I'm going to now put back on my construction lines and just look at this. Whoa, look at all of that. Whew. Feels good though. Feels good. The camera is finished and it's being created in 2-point perspective. So let's go back to what we did today. Recapping. So today we looked at what is a 2-point perspective. Then I looked at this 2-point perspective grid. Here where we have the left hand vanishing point, the right hand vanishing point, and the vertical line which separates the left side and the right side. And I also looked at creating a perspective circle, or creating a circle in perspective, going through the steps here: step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, 5, 6. And I integrated these steps right here, down here on this surface. After I finished that, I went straight ahead into creating the 2-point perspective of the camera. Where did I get my camera from? I got it from here. I found this on the internet. Nice isometric drawing of a camera. I would suggest you first draw the isometric just to get a feel, and then you can draw the orthographic. Draw the orthographic plan, so which would be, let me see, if you want to do this quickly, draw the plan, this view, and draw that view, the orthographic. Rotate the plan at 30 degrees, and then project lines down from your plan to your picture plane. Sorry, project lines from your plan down to your stationary point. Then trim the lines there once they're across the picture plane, and project perpendicular lines from the picture plane all the way down to your base corner. All right. That's what we did today. That is the bulk of everything. I hope everyone enjoyed this tutorial. It was a long tutorial. If you're uncertain as to what I did, please go back, review the video, pause, and see what I've done. There were points in the video where I wasn't talking because it was fully concentrating. So you might have to just watch this in slow motion to get it. But once you saw how I tackled this, you should be able to get this solved. First, start off by tackling the easiest bits, which are the rectangle forms, and then move on to the harder bits, which are the circular forms. All right, I think I've done enough now. Practice until you get better at drawing. And lastly, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I am out.